So you've completed your 3 workshops and you now have a collective understanding of, and a load of write-ups to summarise, changes to key work activity, changes to key roles, headcount and resource mix, future key skills and where the key skills gaps are, and key actions to build, buy, borrow, retain and redeploy. Now you might think the hard work is behind you. And yes, you've accomplished a lot. It might even be the first time that anyone has written any of this down, which is great. But I'm afraid to say you're still only really at the beginning of the work. The next part has 3 bits to it. First, you need to prioritise your actions. You're unlikely to be able to do everything on your list, or at least not all at the same time. And as a result, you need to prioritise. And there are a number of things to consider. What are the no regret actions on your list? And these are those actions that you feel you will need to do irrespective of what happens in the future. Or it could be those actions where you are 95% confident that the assumption on which they are based will hold to be true. For example, you might know a particular role is definitely going to be replaced in a year and the change program is already underway. The other thing to consider is which of the actions are the most complex and the most expensive. Because ultimately, you are more likely to prioritise the actions that are the easiest to do, will have the greatest impact for the least amount of money, and are most likely to have an impact sooner rather than later. Secondly, you need to build your plan and get owners. So after you have your prioritised list, make sure you have all of those actions on a plan with realistic timescales, and each one has a clear owner. Thirdly, you need to track and manage that plan through to delivery. And you need to agree a way of doing this. Without this, the skills gap analysis exercise will never move beyond being a set of slides. And this needs to include not only an agreed way and frequency of getting together to discuss progress, but also a way of measuring progress so that you know what is being done is making a difference, both with lead and with lag indicators. So what type of actions would you expect to see on this plan? Well, there's some great examples in the toolkit which you could use as a helpful checklist. It is by no means exhaustive, but it should give you some ideas. Training programs will obviously feature as part of any efforts to build skills, but these can vary wildly. You might be recommending a training program that's attended by all, that brings everyone up to a similar standard on something like data and analytics. But next to it, you might have a few specialists who need to attend an externally provided accredited course on data science. Separate to all of that, you'll need to think through how you create the time for employees to complete the training. Do you need to bring in additional temporary resource to cover, or do you need to slow down delivery so you have time to properly reskill? Another thing that will come up will be recruitment campaigns, and they will feature as part of your buy efforts. But ahead of that, you may well need to look at your employee value proposition in order to attract the caliber of highly skilled individuals you're looking for. You will almost certainly discuss apprenticeship or graduate programs, but you have to keep in mind the programs themselves can be 18 months, 2 years, 3 years or longer. So if you're looking for an immediate impact at scale, it probably won't be through this route. Borrowing might be quick to ramp up, but ramping it down can be more complicated. If you're looking to reduce your reliance on external resource, you'll need concrete actions that enable you to equip internal colleagues effectively and efficiently to do what external resource might have historically done at the same time as gradually reducing your use of them. And redeployment can be similarly complex. Your actions might need to include newly designed learning pathways that are fast enough to enable employees to build the skills they need for future growth roles before their current roles disappear. Some organisations have even established partnerships with external organisations where they pay the cost of reskilling employees to go and work for them because it's more cost effective plus better for the employee. Making each of these individual actions tangible and measurable and then holding people to account to deliver them is the most important and arguably the hardest part of the whole exercise. But ultimately, if you don't do it, nothing that has come before will really have been worth it. And now to my final point, and one of the key lessons that I have learned. This skills gap analysis work is a live piece of work that will always change and never be finished. As a result, you have to find someone who can own it and update it as and when assumptions change or as the organisation evolves. That individual should probably not be in HR or in people, otherwise the work could become disconnected from the business. It probably needs to be owned and driven by whoever is responsible for the execution of the business strategy, because one cannot be done without the other, and that's how important it is. I hope these videos were helpful in bringing to life the FSSC Skills Gap Analysis approach and the supporting toolkit. I also hope you're left with the feeling that the most important part of all of it is getting the right people together with the right experience and inputs to talk about future skills with enough time available to put in place tangible actions to help proactively build, buy or borrow the skills you need by the time you need them. The toolkit is there to help but you should not feel like you need to use it all or any of it if you can achieve these ends through different means. Thank you very much.